So here we go. Be'ezras Hashem, today's daf is Masechta Bava Basra Daf Samach Aleph. We'll begin on Daf Samach Aleph, Amud Aleph, by the new Mishnah in the fourth parak of Bava Basra. Hamoiche. So the Mishnah says like this. I'm going to make it big. Hamoiche Sabayis. Someone sells a house, and this is like you sell a house and you write in a contract, I'm selling you my house. Loy mochar es hay mochar yetzi'ah. You didn't sell him the yetzi'ah. That's not included in the sale. So yetzi'ah, we're going to look over here in the picture. What is a yetzi'ah? A yetzi'ah is like an annex to a house, like a gallery to a house. Why they kept, imagine this is the house. So a yetzi'ah is like a bump out of the house. And maybe it's like a indoor porch or something like that you have with walls on it, and sometimes you sit out there for fresh air, and sometimes you sleep out there in the summer months. Maybe that's what it was worth. So that's not included in the sale of the house. A house is a house, but not the yetziah. We'll see more about that in the Gemara. Even though the house opens up into this yetziah, into the gallery, it's not included in the sale. Okay. Not only the if you sell a house, you don't include the room that's that's deeper into the house. Now, why does a person have a room deeper into the house? So again, it has to do with maybe that's a pantry or some sort of it's not where you sleep. It's a place where you store like a shed. So you don't include the shed. In our let's say in our situations, you wouldn't include the garage or something like that. You're just selling the house and not the garage. Now, not only that, says the Mishnah, if you're selling a house, you're not even selling the roof access. Lo yesagag, you're not selling roof access. Bizman sheyesh lo maka gavoya asar tfachim. If on the roof you have a fence that's higher than 10 tfachim around, so therefore the roof could be in something like a separate thing where maybe you can make an outdoor party there. So when you sold the house, you have no intention to sell the roof and the roof access to the house. So that's not included in the sale. Rabbi Yehuda, so the Mishnah stressed that it has to have a fence that's high of 10 tefachim. Rabbi Yehuda, I don't know if you remember, if you go to Israel and the top of the yeshiva Eisha Torah, they have a roof deck which overlooks the coastal. It's more of a hall where they make parties there. So it's not included in the sale. Rabbi Yehuda, im yesh lo tzuras Pesach, afal pish ein gvoya yutfachim ein mochor. If there is a door opening, somehow there's a door that leads to the roof, and a nice door that leads into the roof, and so even though the fence is not high 10 tefachim, it's not ein mochor. It's not included in the sale of the house. So I guess you could see where this parak is going. This parak is going is that if you're selling something, what's included in the sale? What's included in the sale? So the Gemara says, the Gemara explains that if you sold a house, you didn't sell the yetziah. Yetziah is not included in the sale. So the Gemara says, my yetziah. What is called yetziah? So the Gemara says, Hacha targimu in over here in Bava, they translated yetziah as apsa. Apsa is a small house, low house, that's in the back of the house or on the side of the house, as you can see in the picture over here. This is called the yetziah. So that little piece over here is not included in the sale. So Rav Yosef says it's more than just a building, a small little appendix to the house. It's bitka chalila. It happens to be a windowless area. In other words, as you can see in the picture over here, it's like it has an open, it doesn't have a wall, it just has an open wall where air can go in. Like, maybe you sit out there in the breeze. So that's bitka chalila. It's an open area with a windowless wall. So that's not included. So the Gemara says, L'man ama apsa, the one that said it's a little house connected to your big house, loy mizdabna. Kolshkein, certainly you're not selling bitka chalila loy mizdabna. You're not selling that windowless area. That's not included in the sale. Because if the house, that little piece that looks like the house is not in sale, certainly that windowless portico is also not included in sale. But according to the opinion that the Yetzia means Bitka Chalila, the windowless area, so then maybe over there that's not called part of the sale of the house. But the house, the little house that's next to the big house, Miznavna would be included in the sale. So if you learn Pshat, Yetzia means this, then certainly it means that, as you can see in the picture. But if it means this, then certainly it means the Bitka Chalila. But if you say it means Bitka Chalila, then I would say Yitzi, the house that's connected to the big house would be included in the sale. So Tani Rav Yosef taught Shloish Shemes Yeshloi. A little house that's connected to a big house has three names in the Chumash that mean the same thing. So sometimes it's called Yitzia in Tanakh. If you learn Tanakh, you see these words, you know what it means. Yitzia Tzalata. Yitzia, the Ksiv, Hayitzia, Tachtoine Chomesh, Ba'am Rachba. So the Pasuk in Malcham Aleph describing the first Beis HaMikdash, and it says the word Yitzia, HaTachtoine Chomesh Amesh Barachba. So that describes a part of the first Beis HaMikdash. And Yetzia means a small little connection to a larger structure. Tzala, the word tzala also means a small building connected to a large building. The ksiv, tzoloyis tzela, el tzela, sholosh u'shloishim pa'amen. And then you have another language called ta. Ta, you see, taf aleph, also means the same thing. A small part that's connected to a big part. The ksiv, v'ata kone echa that's a pasuk also in Yecheskel. I guess it's discussing the third Beis HaMikdash. There is a Mishnah Masechta Midas, which also, in describing a small room connected to a big room, it calls that a taf aleph. So again, this unusual word Yitzia that you found in the Mishnah has three different synonyms. It's Yitzia, Tzela, and Ta, but they all mean the same thing. It's something, a small appendix connected to a larger structure. And therefore, again, the Mishnah just stated that if you sold the house, you didn't include that Yitzia in there. So whatever you want to call Yitzia and what it was used for, it's not the same use that you use a house for. A house you sleep in, you eat, you cook. But this Yitzia was some connection to the house. Maybe you sat there temporarily just to cool off there, and that's not included in the sale of a house. So the Gemara says like this: Amar Mar Zutra. Mar Zutra said, "B'hu dahava arba amas." When is it not included in the sale? If it's a standalone structure that has 4 amas, that's, I guess, 4 amas by 4 amas, so it means something. So it cannot be, swallowed into the sale of the house because it's a standalone project. Amale Ravina le Marzutra. So Ravina said to Marzutra, "Lididach." According to what you just said, the amrit ad have arba amas, until it's 4 amas, then it's not included in the sale. So arba amas, but if it's smaller than arba amas, then it is included in the sale. Elmi, Alta, let's understand this. Gabi bor, guy is selling a house. What about the pit? Now, why did they build pits or cisterns in their house? That was a way to catch water, so that it was like having your own water source. So the Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah later on, and Daf Samach Daled, that if you sell a house, lo yasa bor, lo yasa dus, you're not included into the sale the pit and also the cistern. Whatever you have connected to the house that collects water is not included in the sale of the house. Afal even though shekasav like umka veruma, even if you wrote in the document that I'm selling you what's deep and what's high, so it's not included in the sale of the house. Okay, but whatever it is, every bor is not arba amas. You don't make it arba amas. So hachinami I hava arba amas in iloi loi, until if it's 4 amas, it's not included in the sale. If it's not 4 amas, then it is included in the sale. Well, then every bor the typical bar, unless you had a mansion, a typical house had a bar that was smaller than 4 amas. So what is the Mishnah saying? When you sell a house, you're not including the bar. Every bar is less than 4 amas, so it should be included into the sale of the house. And Mar Zutra said that only if it's larger than 4 amas by this extra appendix by the Yitzia, then it's not included in the sale. But we see from the Mishnah later on that even something smaller than 4 amas, like a bar, is not included in the sale. So how do you square away our Mishnah with the Mishnah later on? So the answer is very simple. Hasam, in that Mishnah, if you look at a house and you look at the swimming pool, whatever you want to call it, the water bar, so the reason why, even if it's less than 4 amas, tashmishta lechud, a house is used for sleeping, cooking, eating, whatever you're using. Tashmishta lechud, and the bar is used for something else. It's used to catch water. So certainly it's not included in the sale of the house. You sold the house, but not the bar. But over here, both the house and the Yitzia is basically used for living. I guess you don't sleep in the Yitzia, so it's not exactly like the house, but it's used to something similar as what you would use a house for. So the answer is if it has 4 amas by itself, chashiv, then it's important and it's not included in the sale of the house. So if you bought the house, you did not buy the Yitzia. The Eloi, but if it's less than 4 amas, Eloi chashiv, then it's not considered important. And therefore, if you bought the house, you bought the Yitzia as well. Now, V'loi es a chedesh lefnim hemenu. Let's see what this means. You didn't buy the room that's inside. Let me see if I have a picture over here. No, I don't have a picture over here, but you can imagine a house with a room inside the house. Okay, let's see. Yeah. So the question is, there's like a back room inside of the house that you use for, let's say, like a safe. Okay, let's call it a safe. You have a house, and extended to the house is another room where you put your, like a safe. You put your valuables. So that's not included in the sale of the house. Says the Gemara, Hashta Yitzia loy mizdam. And if you already told me in the Mishnah that when you sell a house, the Yitzia is not included in the sale, which is more of an extension of the house, and that's not included in the sale. Cheder, a small little room attached to a house, Mabaya, do you need to tell me that? If a small structure is not considered part of the sale, certainly another safe room is not considered part of the sale of the house. So why does the Mishnah teach you this? Answers the Gemara, we go to Samach Aleph Amud Beis, answers the Gemara, Loitzricha, the Mishnah has a novelty. Why? The Afagav, the Meitzar Le Mitzore Abroi, even if when you put the survey in the contract, and you describe the dimensions of the house that you're selling, on the survey, it looked like you're selling that extra room, right? So then, no, that's not included in the sale. Even though you have a survey in there and you demark the boundaries of the house, which included that safe room extension of the house, it's still not included in the sale of the house. So why do people do that? Why do people not careful in how they mark up the boundaries of a house in a contract? Because to Rav Nachman taught that idea, because that sometimes people sell things and they don't, and they mark up the contract, and it looks like they're selling much more than what they agreed upon. We discount what's written in the contract. Rav Nachman said in the name of Rabba Bava, someone sells a house to his friend. Imagine a guy has an apartment building with different condominiums extended from the house. So he sold one apartment to his friend in this large complex, in this large Bira Gedola. Now the Bira Gedola is the large building where you have a hallway to get to the house. So even though when you put in the contract, what are you selling? You're selling the entire building, right? It looks like you're selling the entire apartment building, right? But really, you're only selling one apartment within the complex. It's just that extended the boundaries in the contract, in the survey of the contract, but really we look at what the guy really wanted to sell, and that's one apartment within this large complex. So the Gemara says, well, let's try to understand what Nachman is saying. Maybe he is buying the entire building. Hey, Chadami, what's the case talking about? When a guy buys an apartment, he calls it a house. Ula and if he's buying the building with a lot of apartments, bira, he calls that a bira, the big building. So pshita, if the contract says bias, you're buying only a house, so of course you're not getting the building. Like I'm buying a condominium. Of course, I'm not buying the whole building. I'm buying apartment. So pshita, it's very simple. Bias zabanle, you're only buying the house. Bira loy zabanle, you're not buying the entire building. Ella, so it must be that the labira nami kar bias. When a person buys a building, he's sometimes writing the contract that I'm buying a bias, a house, but really he's buying an entire apartment building. So then why discount it? Why discount the contract? Kula zabele, he's buying the entire building. Answers the Gemara, loitzricha. The Rav Nachman's novelty is like this. The Ika, there are some people, the korele bias, labira. Some people know how to speak the language, and when they write in a contract a bias, that means apartment. When they write in the contract bira, they mean the entire building. The economy, but there are some people that the bira korele bias. That sometimes that when you write the word bira, building, it doesn't mean the building, it means the apartment. So mayo desema, if a person wrote in the contract bira, he wrote in the contract, I'm selling you the building, I would think kulazabinle, he's selling the entire building. Rav Nachman said, no, he's only selling the house. Now, why? Maybe he's really selling the building. The contract says, I'm selling you the apartment building. Rav Nachman said, no, he means to sell an apartment within that building. Because if he meant to sell the building, he should have written, there's nothing left for me in this building. He should have said that I have no part of anything anymore that I'm selling to you. That's not written in the contract. That's a proof. Shiri. He didn't sell him the building. He owns the building. He's only selling him one apartment in that big building. So that's the proof that sometimes people write things in a contract. It seems if you read the contract, you could get all excited that you're buying a building, but really, since he left out an important word in the contract that saying that when I'm selling you this building, I own nothing anymore within this building. He didn't say that, so it must be when he wrote the word bira, I'm selling you the building, he meant to say I'm selling you one apartment within the building. And he just demarked it as the building itself, so you should know estimation what you're exactly buying, but not precisely. And same idea. Amar Ababur, Nachman said, someone sells a field to his friend, in this large expanse of fields. A guy has many fields, right? And a guy has many fields. And a guy is selling a field within that expanse of fields. Even though he demarked off the entire expanse of field, he just wrote that in the contract, but really he's only selling one field. He's only selling one field within that field. So the Gemara says, "Hey chidami, what's the case? Ilema the korele sada. If the document says field, people call field a field. Ulabika, and if you're buying an expansive field, more than one field, you write the word bika. So then pshita. If the document said soda, I'm buying a field, so soda zabele, he's only selling one field. Bika loy zabele, he's not selling the entire. He's not selling the entire. He's not selling the entire. He's not selling the entire he's not selling the entire expansive field. So what's going on over here? Hold on. Okay. Okay. Excuse me for a second. Yeah. So the Gemara says, "Eichadam ili because so the big pshita soda zabim big loizame ella the big nami korele soda." If sometimes a person buys a field and it says over there that he's buying a bika kula zabale, that he's buying the whole field, because just because you wrote the word field, you mean the bika, you mean the entire expanse. So the same idea. Like tzricha, the ika, the sada karle sada. Some people call a field, ula bika bika, and some people call a a a a expansive field. So people know how to speak the language. Field means field. An expansive field, more than one field, is called a bika. The economic, but there's some people, the bika korele soda. Even if they wrote in the document bika, which means an expansive field, it only means that they're selling one field. So Ma'al Desema, you have a document that says he's selling a bika. So he must be selling kula zabenle. He's selling the entire expansive fields. Kamash Malon comes along, Rab Nachman says, no, he's only selling one field. The document is saying that he's selling a bika, which means an expansive field. It's still, we will disregard the document because there's very words missing from the document. It should have been written in the document, Loy shairis bizvine ilin kodamai klum. I'm not leaving out, I don't have anything else in this area. Nothing belongs in this area belongs to me. So since he didn't write that, he just wrote, I'm selling you a bika. We can assume that he only meant to sell one field, and the rest of the expense of the field are not part of the sale. But like, since he didn't write that, he left over that part for himself. So now Rabbi Nachman said the same idea in two cases, one by a field, by a house, and one by fields. He says the same idea. So the Gemara says, Utzricha, Rab Nachman had to teach you the case in two cases. The Ashmi'inim bias. If you just say this novelty by a house, Mishum, I can understand. The building is not the same usage as a house. You have an apartment, it's not the same use as the hallway, because the building itself is the hallway to get to the house. So Mishum the Hot each one has a separate usage, therefore it's not included in sale. You're only selling the apartment, but not selling the building. Avobika, but expansive fields, the kulechad tashmishtahi, it's all used for the same thing. One field is used the same way as the other fields. I would have said kulezabela, you're selling the entire expansive field because you wrote in the document bika. So that's why Rab Nachman had to say, no, you only meant to sell one field. The ashmi'inim bika, if it would just say bika, mishum delay havelei lemimtzalei, because he should not have she should not have demarcated. He didn't need to demarcate it because there was no other way to demarcate it. So therefore, he meant to sell one field. So how do you differentiate one field between the rest of the field? So he just wrote in the survey the entire area because there was no other way around it. Ava bias, if a person means to sell one apartment within a building, the havele lemintzale v'le matzale, he could have, if he paid attention, he could have put in the survey that he's only selling this part of the building. He could have marked it up better. So maybe since he didn't do that, I might think he's selling him the entire building. Sricha, that's why Rab Nachman had to tell you both ideas. So basically, both ideas of Rab Nachman are that sometimes you sell something, and it says in the document you're selling something great, but really Rab Nachman says You're only selling one field within an expansive field of one apartment within a building. And we'll just end off over here. Kaman Oslo, who said this following statement? Ha da Amar Rav Mari Bereid Bas Shmuel. Rav Mari, the son of the daughter of Shmuel, Mishmei Baya, in the name of Abaya. Okay, Rav Mari had a Goyish father, so that's why he's always called the son of the daughter of Shmuel, because Shmuel's daughter married like a Goy. Haimam, or he became Jewish later on, but when they were pregnant, he was a Goy. He said the following: the name of Abaya. Haimam de Mazmedlei Midi Lachari. If you're selling something to your friend, and you want to be careful that you're selling the entire thing, not just a portion. So you have to write in the document, I have nothing left after the sale. There's nothing left that I own in this thing at all. Nothing. So that's when you're selling let's say a building, you have to say, I don't own anything in the building anymore. You have to write that in the document. If not, we assume that you're selling just an apartment within that building. Who said this statement? Come on. That's this. The source of that statement is Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Bavua. It's Rav Nachman who said in the name of Rabba Bavua. Okay, Bez Hashem, tomorrow we will begin from Samach Aleph from the base, about like 7 lines from the bottom. Hahu, a story. Okay, we'll stop right over here. Okay, a good Nacht, everybody.